Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. Hope you guys are all doing well today. In this video, not only am I going to show you how much my dad's gained in interest by depositing his crypto and non-crypto assets on Blockfi, but I'm also going to share with you how I convinced him to get exposure to Ethereum. And the focus of this channel tends to be centralized finance and decentralized finance. Being a big fan of passive income and putting my idle assets to work, I'm constantly looking for opportunities. And by subscribing to my free newsletter, not only are you going to get an interest rate tracker that consolidates the yields across many platforms that I've interacted with or that I've looked into, but you'll also get an email every Saturday with platform updates. So I'd highly recommend you guys pause the video, click the link in the description below of the sample email. If you feel that my lending updates provide you with any value, I strongly urge you guys to subscribe to the free newsletter. That way you get the email every Saturday in your inbox. With the intro out of the way, let's go ahead and dive into this video. Alright, to kickstart this video, let me give you a general overview of his account, and also to go over why he decided to go with the allocation that he has now in this portfolio. Given my dad's age, he's not in the wealth accumulation phase of his life, he's in the wealth preservation phase. And because of that, I don't try to push him too hard to buy more crypto assets like I have. And I think it works out for a lot of us young investors. I know that some of my peers and a lot of you guys out there might be motivated to evangelize Bitcoin and crypto assets to the boomers, but I think the better approach is to plant a few seeds and let them come to their own conclusions in due time. A good way to get them to warm up to the idea of getting exposure to crypto assets is by introducing them to CeFi platforms like Blockfi. So my dad has almost $100,000 in assets deposited on Blockfi. He started out by depositing his USDC and some of the Litecoin that he bought around $20, $30. He didn't deposit all his funds at once, he sort of tiptoed in. You can see here that he deposited $10,000 and then a few weeks later he deposited another $10,000. And as he became more and more comfortable with the platform, he deposited even more US dollars into his Blockfi interest earning account. And given that many of these lending platforms like Blockfi and Celsius engage in rehypothecation, my dad obviously didn't deposit all of his assets on Blockfi, but he deposited an amount that he felt comfortable with. Now, unlike me, my dad doesn't spend a lot of time researching the digital asset space. In fact, he doesn't have that much conviction for Bitcoin, let alone some of these other crypto assets. Relative to the overall size of his portfolio, he's allocated a very small amount to crypto. And the reason he decided to go with Litecoin was because Bitcoin was trading a lot higher. He figured he could make more profits by purchasing Litecoin. And he actually did pretty well with this strategy. He was fortunate enough to buy Litecoin for the first time before it's happening. So he bought it around $20 to $30, sold it around the peak at $140. And then when the price came back down to close to 30 bucks, he decided to buy it back. And the reason he's decided to hold Litecoin rather than continue to swing trade it is largely because of me, because I told him that the industry is likely to go through another bull market. And even though Litecoin doesn't have a strong use case, there aren't many developments happening on that blockchain. If you look at the various crypto indexes, almost all of them include an allocation to Litecoin. And whether it's institutions or it's retail investors, rather than committing the time that I did, I think most of these investors, when they try to get exposure to the broader crypto market, they're just going to buy indexes. They're going to buy ETF-like products. Now, this might sound outrageous to some of you folks out there, but I told him there's a real possibility that Litecoin could hit $1,000 plus in the cycle. I did, however, reiterate that I think that Bitcoin and Ethereum have long-term potential, but with Litecoin in its current iteration, I just don't see that. But you know, things could potentially change. And with the trajectory that I provided him, he's decided to hold on to Litecoin. And given his investment patterns in the past, I don't think he's the type to wait until 1,000 plus to sell his Litecoin. Most likely he'll be taking profit as Litecoin approaches the $1,000 mark. And another reason why he decided to keep holding Litecoin was because he's earning a nice yield in it. If we go to my interest rate tracker, you can see that the yield for Litecoin is 5%. And if we take a look back at one of his older statements from June, you can see that he got paid out one Litecoin. At that time, it was worth roughly around $45. And if we fast forward to the most recent statement that he got, today he's getting about 1.5 Litecoin, and he got this when Litecoin was worth 87 bucks. So without depositing any more Litecoin, you can see that his yield in dollar terms has gone up pretty significantly in just a matter of months. And if you recall earlier in the video, I said that he paid approximately 30 bucks for the Litecoin. So that means that he invested approximately $10,000. Today, that Litecoin is worth over $40,000. When my dad first made his deposit of Litecoin onto the platform, I told him where I thought the market was going, and I also detailed the return multiplier effect to him. What that basically means is when you buy a fixed supply deflationary asset and you earn a yield in it, even if the yield stays the same, as long as that asset is appreciating over time, your yield based on your cost basis will keep going up with it, which also means the dollar amount that you're getting will also go up. And the nice thing about Blockfi is they compound everything for you. So for example, if Litecoin one day was to hit $1,000, even if my dad decides not to make any more deposits, he's gonna be earning over $1,500 a month. And the nice thing about Blockfi is you can manage your portfolio all in one platform. If my dad feels like a Litecoin price is getting into that bubbly territory, he can just sell his Litecoin for another crypto asset, or he could sell it for USDC. Now let's transition over to talking about how I convinced him to get exposure to Ethereum. Earlier this year, I made some market forecasts which ended up being pretty accurate. In fact, I told him when we had that liquidity crisis back in March that it's a really good time to get into crypto because with the Fed printing trillions of dollars, it was just a matter of time before we saw asset inflation. Now at that time, he wasn't very open-minded to getting crypto exposure, but recently we went over his portfolio. He acknowledged that if he had listened to me, the size of his portfolio would have been much larger today. And so we sat down and I gave him my bullish narrative on Bitcoin and Ethereum, and I ended by saying that I think there's a good possibility that Ethereum will probably outperform Bitcoin because once Ethereum upgrades and the new tokenomic changes take hold and we get burning and staking, the value of Ethereum will be more closely tied to all the activity that's happening on the blockchain. And I told him if that happens, then Ethereum is basically going to act like a DeFi ETF, since largely all the activity that's happening in the DeFi space today is on Ethereum. And we also talked about a few macro guys that we follow that recently got exposure to Ethereum. And after having that discussion, I told him that if he wants to get exposure to Ethereum with minimal risk, he should consider using Blockfi's Flex interest feature, because this way he won't have to spend a single dollar of his own money. Instead, all the interest that he's accumulating on Blockfi will be used to buy Ethereum. So in other words, this $518 that he made last month, instead of getting paid in Litecoin and USDC, he would get paid in Ethereum. And on top of that, if you look at the interest rate on Ethereum, it's 5.25%. Once he gets his first Ethereum distribution, the following month his Ethereum will be earning interest. So in other words, all his assets on Blockfi will be put to work to help him accumulate Ethereum. And I could tell that my dad was pretty excited about the move. He had me make the change from right away. And all this was done through casual conversations with my dad. Despite personally having a ridiculous amount of my net worth allocated to crypto and spending countless hours throughout the week consuming knowledge and information, I probably talk to my dad about crypto once every few months. I think many of the boomers out there, whether they like it or not, eventually they're going to have to get Bitcoin exposure. I fully expect that everybody that's managing 401ks, pension funds, at some point they'll be getting exposure to Bitcoin, and therefore their clients will be getting exposure to Bitcoin. And for all us young guys in our 20s and 30s, this is probably a good thing, since we're buying the assets early and they're going to be buying the assets much later down the road. We're going to get a much needed transfer of wealth, because when our parents started off and they were growing up, getting married, buying their first home, there was much more opportunity out there than there is today. Plus the Fed was still in the early stages of expanding their balance sheet. And for that reason, our parents had much stronger purchasing power with their dollar. It's kind of crazy how everything works out, but I think it's a good thing that our parents, the boomers, people that are older, that are more interested in preserving their wealth, they're less inclined to buy Bitcoin. While everybody that's under the age of 35 is not only very open to getting exposure to Bitcoin, many people that I know are heavily exposed to digital assets. And after watching this video, I would encourage you guys to take full advantage of this promo that they have. It's only going to be valid for a limited time. You have until the 31st to take advantage of it. If you don't have an account already and you guys sign up, you'll get a $50 bonus if you deposit $350 into your account before the 31st and you keep it in there until the 31st of next month. And this is actually a pretty good time to share a platform like Blockfi with your dad, your parents, or anybody else that's reluctant to get into the crypto asset space. And I would also encourage you guys to forward this video to your family members so they can see what kind of opportunities are out there, how my dad's portfolio has performed, and they can even go through some of the videos in my extensive playlist of all BlockFi related content. This way they can make an informed decision about leveraging the benefits provided by a platform like BlockFi. And if you have an account with BlockFi already, and you're able to convince a friend or a family member to give BlockFi a test run, if they fulfill the conditions that I outlined earlier, you'll get $25 and they'll get $50. And after watching this video, if you guys have any questions, or maybe you just wanted to join a community of like-minded individuals, in that case, I would encourage you guys to check out my Discord channel. I have an entire section here dedicated to BlockFi talk. This way, if you had any questions that you needed to address, or maybe you just wanted to find out what other people's experience was with BlockFi, all you need to do to join is click the link in the description below. Well, that pretty much wraps up the video. This is CryptoOneStop signing out. I'll talk to you folks next time. Bye.